Welcome to the Cleary Minds podcast. I'm your host, Tom Egan. Here, the classroom meets the real world, and we talk with leaders and changemakers. Let's get into it. Some context.
Yeah, thank you. What a great day. And so right now I'm Vice President of Key Accounts for a company called Total Security Solutions out of Fowlerville, Michigan. And really their core reason to live is to provide protective systems for companies to protect people. So it's ballistic barriers, doors, walls, furniture, podiums, things of that sort. It's just an unfortunate scenario that society has placed us in, but our company is a leader in being innovative as well as offering total solutions as opposed to just panels of a product. So
Right.
walk in and make it look like it was meant to be designed into the architecture of the facility.
Seamless
Yes, sir.
as well. Well, thanks for doing that protective work. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And now, from what I know about you, your job is obviously to grow the business, right? Grow company. And prior to that, you spent about 17 years growing another business, and that seems to be kind of like your superpower.
Right. Yeah. I've been very fortunate. It's really just when you get into an organization, you find its strengths. You look at the team members that you can build upon. You look at a customer base that you can build upon, and then organically, you leverage what you have, expand the awareness of the brand, of the products,
Yeah.
of the capabilities, and then figure out how to help other customers or find new customers.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's about the value proposition. It's more of consultative selling because people like buying from people. You get in front of them, their needs, and really just you listen. And by listening, they feed you into what the consultative approach and what the business solution and what your key value propositions are and can be and how you can help them.
Yeah.
And companies just want people that can help them, not
Right.
not just sell products, not just buy products.
Well, clearly that's your superpower, growing by, I think you said, a factor of 10 or somewhere
Yes.
in that area. And that's what you're good at, it's what you're talented at. But in all of that activity, what is it that you love most about what you do? What lights you up the most?
Yeah, at the end of the day, the team goes. The team goes where leadership or the strategy takes them. And the team grows and the team benefits. So you see the team benefit from executing plans that get put in place. And I'm just a team member. You roll up the sleeves, you help, you jump, you're in the middle of it. A title is just something that you need for a big meeting every once in a while. But at the end of the day, you're a team member and you just want to lead by example. But to see other team members get promoted, have other opportunities, sometimes they do so well they leave the organization.
Yeah.
And you have to encourage a culture, an atmosphere of development, of progression, and let people win and
Right.
fail, and they may leave.
Right.
They may leave you.
Right.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's what, at the end of the day, they help the company for their period of time. But the most rewarding thing is seeing the team be able to be a part of it.
Right. I love that. After talking to people for a while now, I hear patterns and themes, and I love, obviously the title is, a success, a level of success, but hearing that true success is helping others be successful is just a really nice kind of maturation on the journey to success. So I like
Yes.
hearing that, and I loved you sharing that with our students as well. So thank you. And then is there something in all of that you're most proud of in your career journey?
It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick one thing.
Yeah.
I think I shared today there were a couple of students or a couple of employees who were thinking about going back to school, and I encouraged them, go. I'll give you the time. We'll make it work. I'll give you the latitude for your travel, and they went and finished. They were able to complete or start and finish their degree. There were a couple of individuals who excelled in what they were doing, but they had hit their peak and they weren't going to go any further. And they asked me, hey, I have this job opportunity. What should I do? And I said, you should leave.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about what's best for you and your family and where you're going, You need to leave us. But if it doesn't work out, come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's you're selfish for the company in that you want to keep your key players, but at the same time, if there's not a path forward and they'll leave anyway.
Yeah.
Why not
Support
help
them.
them better their life?
I love that. And that's a great segue into some of the lessons you shared with our students, because a huge one for yourself and for others was having options, right? You gave that message. I see you creating options, more options for some of your employees. But I love the story you told when you were 40, you know, the things you asked yourself and then what came out of that. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So you're right. So around 40 years old at the time, it was okay. I felt very secure in my job, where I was, what was happening. We were experiencing nice growth year after year. But there was just some things that if this comes to an end, if someday the company decides that it's not me anymore, because when you're the higher you go, the closer you are to the front door, is the old saying of it. But things happen, business changes, needs happen. I have limitations. There are individuals who can come in after me and take the company at levels maybe that I can't do that as well. So it was, should I go back to school and get my graduate degree? And I pursued that at the age of 48. So at 48, enrolled at Cleary University, and the MBA program, Global Leadership, was the area of focus that I chose. And in May of 2020, completed that degree. And the options that it gave me then was, if that day came along and I needed to make a decision, or a decision would be made for me regarding my career path, then I have that MBA. And the MBA then creates, you're looking at jobs, say MBA preferred, I can apply to those.
All right.
Or if it's just an undergraduate degree, I also have the MBA. So it helps me to create more options.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it all worked out that way, to where I need to have some other options and had it in place.
Well, I was just struck. I never have heard somebody sort of spontaneously ask themselves that question along the way, right? And the fact that you did some kind of like proactive activity towards that, and your message was, continue your education, you get more options, and also networking, you get more options. I saw you, as you were telling your story, build like this deck of cards where when push comes to shove, you have options.
Right.
Than if you just kind of put your head down. So I thought that was great. And then in parallel, the message of marketing, I think it was interesting to hear the students ask questions. I think they were thinking like marketing is something like, okay, I'm going to put on my marketing hat and I'm going to go out to this specific thing to specifically marketing to market myself. And I think you told a different story that was more integrative.
Yeah, and it's important. We all have our own brand. In this digital world, you have your own personal brand.
Yeah.
And it's what others see. Your friends, your peers, your colleagues, your boss, the owners of your company, shareholders, whomever. And it's important to understand and protect your personal brand, because it's how others will connect with you and decide if they do business with you potentially. Even as a salesperson, I'm going to be making some calls with some larger corporations. I would expect them to look on my LinkedIn page and say, okay, what's his background? So it's not just getting the job, it's also just as you're interacting and doing business, it may help you get into a business opportunity, not just a job, just a business opportunity to sell your services, your solutions, your value proposition that you may have.
Well, some of the students came up and introduced themselves, and sometimes that's surprising. But I think what's surprising to the students is when you connect to like the sport they played, or where they came from, or where they grew up, or what their hobby is. They're sort of surprised that, I introduced myself, but now I have this conversation's happening, and that's all part of network and building those connections. So
it is.
I love that you gave them that message. And then you had some interesting lessons, some ups and downs, and like 2008 hit, and different investments and different side hustles and different projects, which seemed normal. But you had an interesting message because all the students always ask about work-life balance. You sort of framed it in a larger perspective.
Yeah. So, and I, for many years, I have been sitting, okay, work-life balance. I've even gone to my manager at times, hey, I need this work-life balance. And it's really your life balance, because work is just a big chunk of it. And it's 40, 50, 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
But it's really life balance.
Uh-huh.
And then that question that we had towards the end of the day is how do you not ensure, but what can you do to help you with your life balance?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer was, you need to have an open, honest, understanding, communication, transparency with your boss, with your hiring manager,
Yeah.
so that they know what's important to you.
Right.
And if they know that, and if they want to retain you and they're a good human being, they're going to help accommodate what you're looking for. Now,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, and as I told the class, you're hired to do a job.
Yeah.
This isn't a way to skirt any responsibilities. The company is paying you to do a job. You need to do it well. It's not a pass, but it's how can you help me with the that I have with the life. But it's life balance, and I was using a phrase of smart, selfish
Yeah.
a little bit in that.
That's my next thing.
Be selfish, but be smart about it.
Yeah.
But look out for you.
Yeah.
Look out for your family. Look out for what's important to you. And it can be a challenge, because smart, selfish can be viewed as you're thinking about me instead of just the company. It's a we thing.
Well, but that was a weird catch-22, right? Because we want somebody that's collaborative. We want somebody that's about the team, and success is about making other people successful. But sometimes, in order to define or defend yourself in a work role, it has to be about me.
That's right.
I did this.
Right.
Not the team did this. The team did do this, but you have to understand what perspective you're in. And I thought you gave kind of a great transition to not always be me, not always be we, but to know when to use each. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I got caught in an interview where I was saying we, and that's just the way I'm wired. That's the word that I lead with. And then after the interview, I was like, well, but what did you do? And I'm like, wait, what have I been saying for the last 20 minutes? That's been the team. And I just happen to have the title and the org box that is top of it.
Right.
But it's again, it's that smart.
But smart, selfish. I love that. I highlighted that. And we just went through that with interviewing for some of our positions here as well. What's the we and what's the I? So that was a great, and I never heard anybody kind of tease it apart like that either. So that was great. And then, smart, selfish, I, we, life balance, work, let your boss, let your manager know about you and what you need and what's important to you. And I think you told a story that really brought that home about leadership in general, where you needed, 5 weeks, some extra time to handle some personal issues. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could share that story, because I thought that was...
Yeah, so had a family member, my father, had a stroke, then had a second stroke, and he was in the hospital. We were able to stay by his side for 5 weeks. Ultimately, he passed. Go back to work, and I'm called into the CEO's office. And he said, hey, heard about your dad passing. Just want to pass on my condolences. Sorry for that. And he said, but we're not going to charge you 1 minute of personal time, any PTO, for the 5 weeks you've been out.
Yeah.
And I just looked at him. I just couldn't get my head around that.
Yeah.
Said to Jim, I don't understand. You can't do that. Don't do that. Take it all.
Yeah.
You let me spend time with a family member.
Right.
The last 5 weeks of his life, and that's all I need.
Yeah.
He said, look, if you take care of the company will take care of you, and that's what we're doing right now. And then I asked how he could pay that back. I still couldn't get my head around that.
Yeah.
Eyes filled up and just a little emotional about it.
Yeah.
And he said, someday, whether it's our company or another company, you will be in a position where you will be able to extend the same mindset and take care of others in something that they're facing.
Yeah.
He said, that's how you will repay me.
Right.
And that kind of reshaped me a bit for my leadership style and just...
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
But also, you talk about, going the extra mile for your employees so they want to stay working with you, but it also converted to how you were as a leader going forward. And, I was surprised. I got emotional. The students got really quiet. I got goosebumps now even. I got goosebumps then. But I'm just emotional that you got the opportunity to be with your dad when it was most important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So amen to that. Yeah. A lot came up around social media.
It did. It did.
A lot of kids are struggling with what to put on. I think you gave some great message about you have 4 years to clean this up if you need to. But yeah, and I thought the students were interesting. You know, you talked about kind of looking for risky things about a person that may, you know, bring exposure to a company, or because you're following their brand after all.
Right.
But a lot of students say, well, what happens if I don't have Facebook or Instagram? And I thought that was interesting too. Like, great. I mean,
Yeah. No, I think either you're just not engaged in it, you don't need it, you don't get energy from it.
yeah,
Something you just don't need, or you realize, what is this?
Yeah.
And nothing against it. I mean, it can do a lot. A lot of commerce is done on e-commerce and social media and things of that sort.
Yeah.
But it is the reality that when you're interviewing, when you meet somebody, I'm going to look them up. If your resume makes it through,
Yeah.
first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And again, if it's always a tailgating party and things
Yeah.
of that sort. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but if you put your whole life out there in something that looks risky,
Yeah.
it's not a diary.
Yeah.
And it's just something, it is part of, they don't think it's profession, they're part of their professional world.
Yeah.
As much as say LinkedIn, but it's all one and
Yeah.
one and the same. It's their personal brand that they have to protect, because out of curiosity, people are going to look, even maybe after you get the job. But it is something, it's their personal brand, and they have to understand what's good, what's the bad.
And it should be consistent, but you said you never know who's looking at it,
That's right.
right?
That's
and in class, we do the Myers-Briggs, as I mentioned, and, you know, they divide up on different sides of the room, and for whatever variable in the Myers-Briggs, there's always somebody that's opposite you, and that could just be different than you. It could be in opposition of you. You just never know.
That's right.
So your message was to, you know, really have your brand kind of clear and clean to who you are and represent, obviously.
That's right.
But you know, if you're looking to get into a company and you want to represent on the issues, you got to be in that company to represent the issues. So
I think everybody's used to a background check. Okay, that's the legal stuff. Your background check that anybody can do at any time with the device in your pocket is, okay, let me look and see what their background is here on social media, what their brand is, and is that something that's going to complement our company when they're wearing a shirt with our logo on it.
yeah,
And they're out in public and they're representing our product and what we're doing or our service. So
yeah,
just I think it's important to hold the mirror up and get everybody to realize that for many of them it's been a diary, and if that's what they want their brand to be and that feeds into where they're heading, that's great. But there's a real level of responsibility they have to take with their personal brand.
yeah. And you just said it again. You said hold a mirror up. You use that quite a bit, and I like that metaphor for, you know, having somebody to bounce things off of, getting feedback. Part of the class is getting feedback, how you are perceived by others, like what you think versus what they think, and really trying to get congruent there. But that was great. And you also recommended, you know, we can laugh because, you know, most students want like, 100K and they want to be vice president in a couple weeks and that promotion really fast. But you said, you know, the first job's the hardest one to get, so get it. And you use the phrase "raise your hand," because most students are thinking about, all right, I'm going to get there, and then when's my raise, my promotion? But you were saying if you want to raise a promotion, then you got to raise your hand and you got to do some of the things that are necessary to get there.
I think it's important. Ask for more. Companies want, again, you can't teach people to be nice, so you hire nice people. You want thinkers. You want people who are disciplined, who are organized. You want to, you want to make certain that the individuals are going to represent your brand well. But a polite way of asking for more money. Hey, is there anything else I can do? Are there any additional responsibilities that I can take on? And then companies understand if you do that well, and as your responsibilities increase, it's a trade-off, right? You're trading the work for dollars, and it's in a way to make more money, be recognized for promotions, promotional considerations, and things of that sort. But don't wait. Take control of your career.
Yeah.
and your development.
Yeah.
And that can, some of the simplest things can be just within raising your hand,
Yeah.
raising your hand within an organization.
Well, and then, I mean, you're selling yourself.
That's right.
And I liked your approach. I've heard a little bit on this theme, but you said in selling yourself, you're asking the people that matter a question like, what problems do you have that I can take off your shoulder? I really like that. So if you think of sales, you think of selling a product, you come in, you start telling about the product. But you're saying, instead of talking about yourself and what you did and the promo, like what issues and problems do you have that I can relieve you of, or I can take some of that burden off? And I thought that was a great message to slide in there. Yeah, and then you said that by raising your hand and saying yes, one of the students asked you what was maybe a pivotal turning point, and you mentioned taking an opportunity in Latin America to do. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you join a company and they ask you to do things and you say yes and typically you benefit from that. At the time, I was asked to join the international business unit of a company, and my mentor in the organization said, "Look, I think you're going to be approached and asked about international. Whatever you do, don't take Latin America." And so I went and had the meeting, came back after the meeting, went back to my mentor. He's like, "Well, how'd it go?" I said, "Well, I took Latin America."
Sign the papers.
Absolutely. So, and it's just it's a greater challenge than other areas of the world can be. And this at this time, I mean, this was early 2000s, and it's just you have currency that devalues every 6 or 7 years in some of the countries. You have political turmoil. Some of those countries, you just don't have a stable middle class. So, and then you're going in, you're selling premium American branded products into an economy that may or may not be able to support much growth.
Yeah.
So 44 countries, Mexico, Central America, South America, the Caribbean as well. And everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, you're going to be on the beach every day." You don't sell industrial products on
Desert.
on the beach at all. But it was interesting. There's just a lot of things that you can learn. We had some employee incidents that occurred that you won't find in a textbook anywhere. You find
You're welcome to share them if you want, but
yeah. So we had a couple of employees who were they were high, and they were at the plant, and they both had shotguns, and they shot at each other and just hurt each other. But at the you're not going to find that in a textbook anywhere. And what do you do when you get that call in the middle of the night?
Management 101.
Right.
Yeah.
Some countries you have to have bodyguards to travel to. There were some things that were happening in some of those countries that you had a potential to be kidnapped at 11:30 at night, take you to the ATM, hold you until after midnight, because then you could get another daily allotment out after midnight. So just different things. But at the end of the day, it was a great experience in that it opened my eyes to. I mean, when you learn more when you struggle and when you're in difficult business situations, and when it's harder to sell to get the growth, harder to market, harder to do business, you learn more about the team, you learn more about your products, you learn more about your processes and what opportunities you have to improve upon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought it was great in your presentation. You kind of listed, different jobs, different roles, different titles. You listed those titles green for money. Title gets you more money. But then you also listed jobs that gave you more time with family. You listed family as green.
Right.
Because you also said time with family is money.
Right.
And I could really hear the students weighing that.
Yeah. It's just as good as money. We don't realize that when we're younger, because it's the money, and that gets you the things. And unfortunately, until as we progress through the years, and you realize, wow, I wish I had more time to do that. Well, and time typically equates to family or friends, and you don't get that back. So when you have that life balance, that's green. That's as good as money.
That was great. And because you created options for yourself, you could pivot when you didn't have time for family to have time with family.
Right, that's right.
That was awesome. So good message there. And then the other thing, you did a nice vertical with sales. You said don't be afraid to kind of go left and right. And you said something that struck me as fascinating. You said when you went from sales to marketing, you had kind of a superpower. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So by being in sales first and then moving into marketing, I knew from the marketing chair what the sales team needed and what would work. If you just come up one vertical, you don't have that vision, you don't have that sight, that line of sight of what's actually needed. You have an idea of what might work, and then you have the respect from the sales team as well. One of them moving into the marketing role and then ultimately leading the marketing team. It just allowed us to be effective, and it's no different than talking to someone who has been there, whatever there is.
Right.
If it's someone who is a few years older, someone who's retiring. I mean, I think one thing I miss with Latin America, I mean, it's getting you have the ability to teach people to look around the corner a little bit, or help them as they're going around the corner.
Yeah.
Latin America, real quick. So got that role. I was told not to take it. The first thing I did, I grabbed two individuals who had recently retired from the company who were 30 and 32 years older than I. Went and sat down, had lunch, said, all right, tell me what I'm going to run into. Tell me what you learned. What were your lessons so that I don't repeat those?
Yeah.
And one of the things I shared with the students was that don't be afraid. The gray hairs, the white hair, it's just more time, and they have the ability to help you navigate moving forward so you don't make those same mistakes. Companies want you to take risk. If you fail quickly and try to minimize the exposure to the organization. But there's a lot of experience, and not everybody asks for help, and it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
It's lunch and tell me your story.
Right.
And they can help you see what's up ahead around the corner.
That was awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was fascinated. I think the amount of energy and presence you had, like you were the employer to them, so they asked you a lot of questions like, well, what are you looking for in us? And we teach the Cleary Mind here and try to practically apply that. And later we'll come back to your talk and we'll sort of map the things you said. But in looking for certain qualities from our students in terms of talent, you started by saying, I want to hire somebody who's just a nice, good person.
Right.
Because I think you said slow to hire, quick to fire.
Correct.
Yeah. So get the right people on board, and then thinkers. I think that came up 4 or 5 times in your presentation. You want people that can really think for themselves. And what does that look like and sound like? Or
Yeah. No. Great question. And it's everybody's thinking. I mean, you're in a meeting, you're sitting there thinking about something, but not everybody will engage and participate. And you were hired to be in that company. You were invited to be at that table for that meeting, and usually those who have a louder voice, they always speak, those individuals, but you were invited to that meeting to participate, to engage. You're thinking, let that be known. So it's thinking, it's communication, but it's also collectively, and everybody has a voice or you wouldn't be invited to the meeting. Not everybody has a vote. But everybody has a voice as you are invited to that meeting, and it's your opportunity to participate. And if you do it in a respectful way, no matter what it is, there should be able to have a productive business conversation.
Yeah.
Leave the emotion aside. Have facts, have data, speak from those points, and you have the opportunity to show that you're thinking. Again, you're already thinking, communicate, participate, engage, and that will resonate with leadership as well and can help create opportunities.
And then you kind of matched up the next ones, like being organized and on time and getting things done and having discipline. And you look for those things like if you've done athletics or if you've been in the military or you have, other clubs, student things or activities or a job while you're going to, like, all of those things are obvious as you're kind of interviewing and looking at new talent.
The whole list of things that I presented to the group that they don't realize. Everybody thinks it has to just be that work experience, and ultimately, how do you connect that? But This is about what you've done, again, your brand, showing the pattern. If you're an athlete, if you're very involved in student government, extracurricular activities, and you have that and you have good grades, you're showing me your discipline.
Yeah.
You're showing me that you're showing me what I should expect as if you're an intern.
Yeah.
An internship, paid, unpaid, or it's a full-time job that we're bringing you in
Yeah.
for. And there was a question about what's the difference between
Yeah.
interviewing for an internship.
That was a great question.
It was. Interviewing for an internship or a full-time job. It's one and the same.
Yeah.
Because I'm bringing you in. I have a need right now. Internship, maybe it's not a full-time job yet. If you do a good job, I hope that I'm going to be able to find a full-time job
Yeah.
for you down the road. So
Yeah.
you have to act like it's for a full-time
Yeah.
job.
I mean, even the student asked, it was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's obvious when you hear it, but when you're still young and not thinking in those terms.
Right.
And write a thank you after the interview.
Yeah, I was surprised. So as I was on the job market here recently and just Googling that, and I was surprised to find that only 47% of people even write a thank you email.
Email.
Yeah. And I mean, how simple is that? We're living in the digital world, and just to follow
People
up.
don't do it.
And then the other thing I shared is if you feel that if you've been ghosted, these hiring managers, it's a big job to hire individuals. There are a lot of resumes, a lot of candidates coming at a hiring manager. If you haven't heard, until you've heard no, keep reaching out with a respectful cadence of time, and find until you hear no. I was able to do that, and it proved beneficial.
Well, timing wise, I love that, you created enough cards in your deck of options that, you kind of landed a dream job for you.
Yes.
And something for the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 to 20 years, who knows?
That's right.
I like how you said to support the Berry family.
That's
and congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I like to do this to kind of pull out the unique things I heard that I haven't ever heard before. So thanks a million for sharing all these words of wisdom. Is there anything that you would like to share that you think we haven't talked about, or you maybe didn't drop in class, or anything that's come up since then, or anything you want to say before we close
Yeah.
the conversation?
Perfect doesn't exist for anything. And even as it's easy to put together, this is all hindsight.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not perfect in all of these, but these are things that I've seen in the mirror that others have when they've held up the mirror for me.
Right.
So it's an opportunity to pass it along.
Yeah.
But perfect doesn't exist.
Right.
And when you stumble, you go through it. I think I brought that up a couple of times.
100%.
When there's something tough, just the only way to go through it is to go through it and get to the other side and move on. And that's the way life stacks up.
Yeah, I think I even wrote that down. You said, own it, take responsibility, take it face on, and move through it. And, because people tend to not to. They tend to kick it down the road a little bit. So, yeah, and I think students struggle with that because they're sitting in their chair and they see you with the title and your picture and like, oh, that's the end result, right? But here's the journey. They now hear that all along the way. And I appreciated your presence and your energy and your presentation. I know the students loved it, so thanks a million. And yeah, we'll have to have you back again, but appreciate all the wisdom you left with our students today.
Love to share, love to help the school.
All right, man. It was awesome. All right.
Thank you.